kids think they're practicing and they're not putting in enough work, and it's not always their fault. They may not know the blueprint to get there. And I think there's a level of patience. You'll ask a kid, "Hey, you've been practicing at home? You've been practicing at home?" They'll tell you yes. But what intentions do they have in practice? What reps are they working on? What kind of consistency and inconsistencies do they have? And I think that's part of the issue is they just don't know what they don't know. And it's up to us as the adults and coaches to help guide them through that process because they are young adults. They don't have the life experience so they can get there. I am bringing in former Division I player, former Division I coach, current high school coach, current travel club coach, content creator, more so known in space as Lax in the 305. Okay. I am bringing in Jenna Martino-DiFede. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having
Did I knock the intro out the park or
me.
what?
You did. You crushed it.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's what I do. I want you to make you feel like you are the shit when you come on this podcast. All right. So,
Thank you.
um, you heard the intro. You heard the intro. You've coached for a long time. You still coach. Various ages, various skill sets. Am I way off base as far as kids just don't know what it takes to build a skill? How many hours, the intentionality of it? Am I crazy for saying that, or am I right on target?
No, definitely right on target. I think that's, both from a coach's sometimes and player perspective, I think
Hmm.
even as a coach that's been doing this a long time, like, sometimes you have to remind yourself, like, how hard it is and how long it takes and how many reps it takes to actually build the skill that you want, and not only
Hmm.
the physical skill, but, like, the mental piece of it too, like, making the right decision in the right moments and, like, how reps build muscle memory and how, like, in the beginning, you have to be more intentional, and then the idea is to build up so many reps that you don't have to think anymore, and that when you're in the moment, your body just does what it knows it's supposed to do, but we don't realize how long it takes to get there.
Kobe Bryant once said, and it's a very popular reel that floats around all the time. It already pops on my timeline because I'm a Kobe Bryant guy, so I'm always seeing it. But he says, yo, in those big moments when I look like I'm just calm and cool, nothing's bothering me, it's not because I've done this so many times. So what's one more time? Just because people are watching and the lights are the brightest, what's one more time? I've shot this shot 1,000 times. I've made this move 1,000 times. So when it's called upon me to do this, like you said, naturally it just happens, right? It just happens. I've done it 1,000 times. When you started coaching, okay, when you started coaching, and let me ask you this, let me back up. When you started coaching, which age were you coaching?
High school was the first age that I coached.
Were you alarmed at some of the girls on your high school team that couldn't do some of the basic things that you
Yeah,
were determined to be basic?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
When that happens and you have the conversation with those athletes, like, look, I would like you to do A, B, C, and D on a daily basis. Could you tell the ones who did it and the ones who did not?
Yeah, for sure. Over time, you could tell, like, I think relatively quickly, you could tell if kids are, like, trying to change, like, their shot, for example, if you're trying to teach them a different way to shoot or, like, go more overhand instead of sidearm, and, like, you can tell when some kid's actually trying and they're being intentional because oftentimes it's funny, you'll actually go backwards before you go forwards, like, when they're
Hmm.
trying to change something, they'll start missing shots, like, crazy wide or crazy high or whatever because 'cause they're
Yeah.
changing what they're used to, and that's one telltale sign, and I'm like, "Well, that's a great thing because we need to figure out, what's too high, where our release point's too high, where it's too low, and then, like, the more reps you do, you'll find that middle ground," and so, you could tell pretty quick when kids are trying to adjust and when they're just doing the same thing over and over and over.
Eh, all right. So go to now the kids who do start to produce, and you ask them what your regimen is. And they tell you, hey, I go home and I wall ball. I'm hitting the wall 500 times a day. I'm hitting the wall 500 times a day. And I want to stay with the wall ball because I
Okay.
think this is a good conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of times coaches say, hey, go hit the wall. And the kid's like, okay, yeah, I've been doing that. I look at it like, well, you got to kind of give them some guidance on how you want to hit the wall, right? Just throwing the ball back and forth and catching it is only good for, certain things. You got to make it more game related. We got to get our feet moving. We got to have that ball's got to hit a little bit harder so it comes back a little bit faster to get used to hitting that pocket.
Right.
What is your opinion on when coaches tell girls to hit the wall? What would you, if you were to say, I need you to go hit the wall, what would you add on to that?
I would give, like you said, I'd give him more direction and tell him to make sure, like, I would even like to sometimes do it at practice if we have a wall or a wall ball and like actually demonstrate for them what it should look like. And like, you could start slow and just kind of throwing it to warm up, but like that warm up mode should not be your whole wall ball routine. You need
Right,
to start
right.
moving up to, moving your feet, switching your hands, like moving forward, moving backwards. Like one thing that even as a player, I remember I used to do all the time was throw the ball from really far away and then sprint up to the ball and try and catch the ball at a full sprint moving forward.
Okay.
Because like it's funny, like I used to try and translate things from the field that I was doing in a game. Like I was usually one of the fastest players on the field. So my coach used to have me in college, like on clears, if we'd have trouble doing goalie clears, we'd have some setup and our whole team would spread out and pretend they're doing stuff. And I would just sprint down the field from the
Hmm.
midfield back to the goalie to try and get the ball and run it back up the other way. Like, it was just a funny, we did it sometimes because it worked, but I needed to be able to catch the ball at a full sprint running down.
Yeah.
And it's, like, harder to do than, you realize. So, I would try and replicate the point is that, like, I would replicate what I needed to do in the game in my wall ball session. So, like, that's what I think coaches need to give more direction to players, and it might be different for defenders or attackers or middies, and like there's some general stuff that everybody can do, but if you really want to get better and really have it translate, like do things on the wall that you want to be doing in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
You're originally from a hotbed, a
Yeah.
hotbed area in the New York, New Jersey area where lacrosse, you come out the womb thinking about lacrosse, boy or girl. You then move down to Miami for a stint. That's how the whole Laxton 305 jumped off, right?
Yeah, well, I do wanna correct you a little bit because I did grow up in Jersey where it
Okay.
is a hotbed. However,
Okay.
in my specific area, wasn't that big. I didn't start playing lacrosse till I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
But, like, the areas a little more north and the areas a little more south, were more of the hotbeds. We were in, like, a weird in between spot, and so
Okay.
I was a multi-sport athlete. I played soccer, basketball, even softball in the spring because that's all I knew there was until I got to high school, and we had some, the coach at the time, the high school lacrosse coach, started just kind of recruiting all the other athletes to play, and me and a bunch of my friends that played at soccer, basketball, played lacrosse, and we ended up going on to play lacrosse in college, which is
Okay.
kind of funny. But that's how I got started, and then when I moved down to to Miami, that's when I started the 305, Lax in the 305, and just really wanted to help grow the game in a very non-hotbed area. Like it was kind of is similar, different, but similar down there. Miami specifically was it still is like a little behind. If you go up an hour north to Fort Lauderdale, it is like kind of a hotbed up there. But in Miami, for whatever reason, it just kind of hasn't worked its way down there yet that
Hmm.
much. So I started it to try and help grow the game and just kind of shed light on the sport and showcase how cool it is and highlights and drills and just different things. And it kind of just took off all around the country. So I just said,
Yeah,
all
it
right,
did.
well, I think I have something here. And
Yeah,
now
you
there's
do.
followers from, even a bunch of other countries that are growing in lacrosse as well. And so it's really fun to see and fun to just keep kind of going with it.
So cocky guys from Florida like myself. All right. I'm gonna set you up here. I'm gonna throw you this alley oop on the podcast. All right. So cocky guys like myself. Anytime we leave out of the state, we're representing the state. We wear Florida on our chest all the time.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter's younger team, I think when she was probably a sixth grader, fifth and sixth grade, we had a really talented athletic team. And our mindset was like, yo, we're going to be better athletes than every team we go against. Our skill wasn't quite there yet, but we knew we were better athletes, right? But then we would go play these teams from hotbeds and the skill takes over. right? Because they've been playing this a long time. We can run, like we got great athletes in the state,
Yeah.
as you know from your time in Miami. We have the bar none some of the best athletes around the country. However, when we play these skilled teams, you can see the skill takes over and the
Mhm.
game looks differently.
Yeah.
My question to you is when 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 areas like ours see skill from those hotbed areas, what should be the response? What should you take in? What should you take in from seeing being exposed to that type of skill level instead of saying, you know what, yeah, we're going back to Florida and we're just gonna play and beat up the teams in Florida. But now you've seen what it looks like for real, for real. You've seen the
Yeah.
skill that it puts in for real because the whole concept of this conversation is skill building. You see how it really looks when girls put in hours on top of hours on top of hours. How would you, in a perfect world, expect the response to be from a team or a team from an area that's not as highly skilled?
I would hope it's like, "All right, let's get to work," you know? Like, this is what's possible. I love when, you play a team that really is so much better than you for different reasons. Obviously, you can't be doing that all the time, but, like, you need to see what the higher level looks like to give you that, like, motivation, but also give you, like, just the vision of, like, what it could be, and that helps you bring it back to your own game and be like, "Well, look how they were catching and throwing. Look how they were moving around the field. Look how they were communicating," and being able to see that higher level, really can just help teach you so much if you let it. I think sometimes kids, like, get just, like, discouraged or they're like, "Oh, they're so good," and it's like, no, like, just because they're good doesn't mean you change your effort, number 1, you still work your butt off, right? And while you're doing that, just, like, take in what they're doing. "Oh, I'm late on my slides or on defense," or our decision making has to be better, or we have to be, work better under pressure. And really, it just needs to help teach you where you can go and then just get back to work.
Why do you think it's taken so long? Why do you think in the Miami area it 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 was slow to catch on? Because I share slightly the same opinion.
Yeah.
You come a few hours north, it's a totally different ball game. In
Yeah.
Miami itself, the teams who are based in Miami itself, they're taking their time picking this up. Why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
I think there's I think there's just so much competition, so to speak, of,
Mhm.
like, there's just so many other things going on in Miami. It's a big city. There's a ton of people, a ton of other sports are already so popular. Like, soccer is a big one. Even now, flag football is getting huge. That pulls from it's the same season as lacrosse. Even volleyball, like that, and lacrosse in Florida for high school starts very early, and so
Mm.
like it's almost more of a winter sport than a spring sport. And I think it's hard for kids to. I loved getting basketball players to play lacrosse, but it's kind of hard for them to do that because the seasons overlap so much, or they could. We still got some basketball players in Florida to play, which was always great, but I just think there's so much competition, so to speak, like with other sports and other activities and other things that like is so ingrained in the Miami culture that like it's just hard. Like lacrosse is like, wait, what is that? Like, and but it's catching on. Like when kids start to play, especially former like athletes of other sports, they're like, wait, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And and they realize how much they can use their speed and like their athleticism, and all they have to do is learn the stick work and like they're good.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Um, do you think some of it has to do with the time that it takes to learn how to throw and catch that ball versus I can do 3 or 4 other sports, so I ain't gotta worry about this?
Yeah, well, I guess, I didn't start playing lacrosse till freshman year of high school, so I remember the learning curve. The learning
Yeah.
curve is tough. Like, I was used to being good at sports. Like, I was just athletic, and so I picked stuff up quick, and I had been playing the general popular sports my whole life. So, like, playing, baseball, softball, lacrosse, soccer, basketball, and, like, even just general in sports in general, like, I just picked up. It was natural to me. So when I put a stick in my hand, I was pissed. I was frustrated because I was like, "Wait a second, like, I am not just, like, good at this. I have
Right.
to work at it to be good at
Yeah.
it." But
Yeah.
I think I was so determined to, like it pissed me off, but it also, like, motivated me to be
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna get this. Like, I'm gonna figure this out." And so I figured it out eventually.
All right, here's a good follow-up. Is lacrosse, especially in the hotbed areas, a family decision? Okay? Here's why I say that. Because they're exposed to the sport, right? They're exposed to the sport all the time. They have big time lacrosse programs in the Northeast. Now we start to move Carolina on up, and we want to add that Carolina area, right? Uh, When I say it's a family decision, because once a kid picks that stick up, everybody in the household starts to become involved.
Yeah.
So it's not kind of like well, it's a recreation thing to do. It's all right, once you pick that stick up, we're in it, and we're gonna invest in it. We're gonna put money behind it, whether it's training, travel. I'm outside with you doing work. It's a household investment.
Mhm.
Do you think it's the same where you came from recently down in Miami?
I think for some people, but I think for a lot of people, it's just sort of like it's so new to a lot of people that it's not like something they're buying into right away immediately. Like I have seen some kids do that where like they pick it up and their parents start to really just like invest in it and be like, "All right, like this is an awesome sport, like let's invest
Hmm.
and let's do it," and the whole family gets involved and that's great, but it's not I don't know that that's happening that much. I think it's also not yet it's there. Like, I think just as time goes on I've seen it grown every year, though. Like, every year, I think or every other year, like, a new high school will take on a lacrosse team or, like, think about it this way, Miami is enormous, and there is only,
Yes.
I think, 9 high schools in the entire city that have high school girls lacrosse. So
Okay, so I'm in Tampa. Have We have 11 public schools that have girls lacrosse because we have damn near 40 we have damn near 40 we have almost 36 public schools. Only 10 to 12 of them have lacrosse.
Mhm. Mhm.
Most of the private schools have it. That's about another 7 to 10. But as far as public schools, there's only 10
Yeah.
to
This is
12 that
counting
have it.
there's only, oh god, public schools, maybe 4 or 5 in Miami, or I'm not sure. But this is private and public together. I think
Wow.
total of 9.
Wow.
I'm pretty confident in that. So it's just like it's just hard. Like, I think that's the other problem. There's like, a roadblock a little bit because
Mhm.
as you start to get into the sport, there's also like n there needs to be opportunity for you to play, and then there also needs to be opportunity for you to play outside of your school. Like, there's more like, I started a club down there, and that was great, and that was developmental, but as players start to get, like, better, they probably wanna start doing some, like, recruiting tournaments and better stuff, but right now, I've had to send the couple of kids that want to play at a higher level, I have to send them to a different team up north, and then because we just can't offer that, we don't have enough kids yet in Miami that wanna play at the higher level and take it seriously to create a club team down there with all of them, or maybe by now I actually think by now there's enough kids to do that, but and now I left, so I can't do it, but we haven't figured out a way to, like, get all the best kids from Miami together. I th there's a lot of club politics, and people
Yeah.
want their kid to play for their own club team that from their own high school, and it's just, like, that's a whole 'nother conversation that
That's
I
a whole nother
I
well,
hate.
that's part 2. Right, that's
But
part 2 of the conversation.
but it's just hard. It makes it hard in an area that's trying to grow when there's all these other challenges involved, but
When you match skill because you've played at a high level and you've coached at a high level, so you have a really good perspective to answer this question. You have girls who wanna play college lacrosse, whether that's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, they wanna play college lacrosse. Um, I'm of the belief that they don't watch enough college lacrosse, okay? They haven't experienced the rigors that it's gonna take to get there.
Mhm.
There's that gap in between. There's that I want to, but for me who's played a high level of sports, I don't think you understand what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
As far as skill development, whenever you start to be a higher level lacrosse player, what are like the 5 or 6 things you absolutely need to be working on in order to even try to get to where you want to be?
To play at the next level, you're
To
saying?
play at the next level. Yep.
I mean, I think I guess the couple things are, one, your stick skills. I mean, you gotta be able to catch and throw, but that doesn't even just mean catch and throw standing still. That's like on the run in under pressure situations. So it's you have to practice that piece of it. You have to be able to just develop your skills in like a fast-paced environment, in that type of environment. So the other piece of it is decision making. I think you have to be able to be making good decisions. I think a lot of players just get frantic. So it's like this is where like the skill and the decision making, there's like a fine line between the two, because it's like, do you have the skill and you're just making a bad decision, or do you not have the skill and so like it's just not panning out for you that way? So like those two pieces kind of could go, they're separate, but they could go hand in hand at times, when it comes to like shooting or feeding into the middle of the eight or just like different things like that. It's like you need to just be able to see the game develop, and just the decision making piece and the stick skill piece. That kinda goes along with just, like, decision making, I guess, is lax IQ, and I really think that comes from having played other sports and being a multi-sport athlete too. Like I said, soccer and basketball were 2 sports that I played all my life, and it translated that's why I understood lacrosse so much easier when I started
Right.
playing it, because you understand spacing and timing and, like, working with a team and, like, how to move together, how to communicate with each other. Like, you need those skills to play at the next level. So if you're not playing lacrosse specifically at a young age, it's okay to pick it up later because you could develop those skills in other sports. And I also think there's so much that translates from those other sports. I played there's, like, a lot of controversy over this, but, like, playing 3 sports through high school, I am still a huge proponent of, because
Yeah.
I I loved it. Like, yes, sports ended up taking over my life, but, like, that's what I wanted to do.
Why is
So,
there a huge controversy over that?
because so many coaches and people and parents are, like, forcing their kids into, like, one
Specialize.
sport, specialized so early, and even especially once they get to high school, and I'm just like, "Man, not only did I love just playing other sports, but, like, they were some of the best times in my life with my high school friends playing sports. Like, if somebody tried to take that away from me, I think I'd fight somebody. Like, "No, don't take that away from me." So I just feel bad because I think a lot of kids, even with club programs especially, I don't know other sports at the higher levels anymore, but I know
Okay.
lacrosse, and I know lacrosse club coaches are like, "Oh, well, if you're playing other sports and it messes with our schedule," like, not every coach, there's a lot that do support it, but there's a lot of coaches that get pissed at kids for missing stuff, and, like, I think it's really important to be a well-rounded athlete, because all of that stuff that you learn from other sports, if you wanna be doing them, um, translates really well. So, back to your original question, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the skill, the decision making, which kind of comes in with the just lax IQ and just teamwork and all of that stuff in general. And then I think the other side of it is like confidence in yourself and being a good teammate. It's like you can't just get to the next level and not have all these other pieces of it. It's like you always have to be coming with like a positive attitude, being a good teammate, giving, 100% effort, and like just being coachable. You can't get anywhere with just like, talking back to your coaches. And so there's a lot of kids, even at the high school and club level, of kids that wanna play in college, that are doing it because they wanna get to the next level. They have some of these bad habits, and it's like, well,
Mm.
you get to the next level, it ain't gonna fly. Your coach is gonna,
Mhm.
you're gonna miss out on playing time because of it, or it's not a good look for you, it's not a good culture for your team, and so, yeah, I think all those pieces are really important.
Who's the best player in college lacrosse right now?
The best player in college lacrosse right now? Probably Madison Taylor, Northwestern.
And I assume because of all 3 to 4 reasons that you just provided.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super athletic, great decision maker, high in confidence, really strong stick skills, strong player, right? Like she don't miss any days in the weight room. You look at
Mhm,
her body posture and her body type. She don't miss no days in the weight room.
mhm.
Um, are you aware of the young lady at Clemson? Think the last name is Spelina.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. A different body type.
Mhm.
Okay. Wouldn't probably not consider her like a crazy great athlete. However, She has everything that you just mentioned. Her
Mhm,
stick skills are phenomenal.
mhm.
Her decision making, phenomenal. Her ability to see the field awareness and
Mhm.
vision, phenomenal. And anticipation, just crazy, right? So you take Madison Taylor. I thought you were gonna say Chloe Humphrey, but
Oh,
Madison's
yeah. Chloe
well,
Humphrey too, I mean, that's a given.
yeah, there you go. So you got those two,
We all know she's awesome, yeah,
right? So you have those two on one end of the spectrum.
yeah.
You have Spallina on the other end of the spectrum. The reason I lay this out is because I have heard from some parents, and they tell me this when they kind of prep me before I take on their kid for training. Well, she's not a great athlete. And my and my answer is like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. First of all, she's still young. We don't
Mhm.
know what she's going to develop into.
Yeah,
And if she knows how to use her body, there could be a place for her. If
100%.
she can, great decision making, good stick skills. She doesn't have to be Madison Taylor fast. She doesn't
Mhm.
have to be Chloe Humphrey quick. But can she get to her spot? Do you have the same belief or not?
No, 100%. I think that that is, like that's so true, is that, like, what works for me is just because I am XYZ, somebody else can be 3 different completely things, but we will maybe work really well together because we bring different things to the table. I think
Hmm.
the best teams have those different pieces. Like, if an entire team is just built of, you know, fast and athletic players, that's great. That's gonna get you pretty dang far, but if they're not the best decision makers, or if they're not the best at seeing the field and being able to really pick apart a defense if you're an attacker, like, they're going to be lacking. So being able to have those different pieces on the field is awesome. Like, I remember girls that I played with growing up, whether high school or college, that, like, were not even not that fast, and not even had the best stick, but they saw the field so well that, like,
Yeah.
they helped create space for everybody else. They knew
Yeah.
when to cut, how to set their teammates up, and, like, if they were ever hurt or not in the game, it's like you felt it. But nobody else, it's like not always a rewarding position to play, because if you're that attacker, let's say, you're not maybe getting a ton of goals and you're maybe not getting, all of this stuff, but you are so important to the way that the game, flows, and to your team for, like, so many different reasons. So, like, that's like another type of player. So you don't have to have all of these pieces
Yeah.
to be able to play at the next level, but if you can be really good at a few of them and then just try and work to get better at the other stuff, like, you can be, that you can be set. Like me, for example, I really never had, when I was playing, I guess 'cause maybe I picked it up so late, but just in general, like, my
Hmm.
stick work wasn't amazing. Like, I wasn't, able to do, like, behind the back shots, or, like, I didn't have an amazing stick, but I was
Right.
really athletic and I was really fast, I was really quick. So, like, my first step would, like, almost get any defender. I was able to, like, weave in and out of players. Like, I saw the field really well, so I was able to, like, kind of quarterback the attack and help run things, and, like, that was my strength. But, like, somebody else's strength, like, could could be feeding and having better stick work than me,
Hmm.
and you need all those pieces.
Controversial question here.
Yeah.
Is there such thing as balance when you're trying to be a high level lacrosse player? Meaning, is there such thing as having life balance, being a young athlete, being social, having your friend group, being able to go hang out, missing trainings, maybe missing a practice for such and such? Is there such thing as balance when you're trying to gain an advantage over the next athlete who wants that same college scholarship that you want?
Well, I can only speak from experience. I think balance in general is important, but for every individual, that's going to be different based on what they want and need. I think you have to decide at a certain point, like, what's more important to you. Like,
Hmm.
balance is important no matter what. Like, no human can dedicate all of their time and energy to only one thing and forget about their family and like their health and all this, right? Like, there is balance in to some degree, but at the same time, like, what do you really care about? For me, I loved playing sports and I wanted to play in college. So I think it helped me too that all of the teams I was on, not that I had some really close friends on those teams, and not that you're friends with everybody on the team, but, like, they're your teammates. You become a family with the team that you're on. That's what a good team culture is. You're supposed to, feel like that with your team, and I've through high school, I think that really set me up for success because I was able to balance things well, where I was doing sports, like, probably 90% of the time,
Right.
but it felt balanced enough to me because I loved what I was doing. I had friends where I was.
Hmm.
And I was, like, that's like the life I wanted to live. Yes, did I miss out on parties other high school kids were going to, or even family events and different things? Like I missed a lot of stuff, and like
Right. Right.
I didn't care enough. Like I cared more about this than I did that.
There you
So
go.
I mean, even with like I ended up breaking my collarbone in high school, my freshman year of high school, going into
This
lacrosse.
story gets better. This story gets better and better. I'm just telling you, you got a good story. I love it. Keep going.
Yeah, and so I know, right? I I broke my collarbone going in my freshman year, and then I did it playing soccer. Actually, I'm sorry, let me backtrack for a second. I broke it first playing soccer the year prior. It was less than a year after I thought I was good. Over the winter, I went snowboarding. I
Okay.
went snowboarding, broke my collarbone, and missed the first couple, little bit of my lacrosse season because of it. And I said to myself, I love snowboarding. I am not gonna go snowboarding until I'm done playing sports. I gave it up. I gave it up because I was like, This is great and this is a fun extracurricular activity. However, I do not want to compromise my potential to play the sports that I love because I'm doing this other thing." So I didn't go snowboarding again until I graduated college. And it's just like that's the type of sacrifice that like kids need to like sometimes you got to make decisions. And I'm not saying that everybody's got to do that, but for
Yes.
me, I cared enough about this that I gave up that. So,
And it all ties back into our top of our conversation with skill building.
mhm.
And I drew you right into where I wanted you
Yeah,
at.
I
And
love
you
it. I love
I, yeah,
it.
God, that's the art. That was the skill that art. There has to be a level of sacrifice.
Uh-huh.
There has to be things that you're willing to give up in order to build this skill. You're
100%.
the I think, and it's a very general statement. A lot of times our athletes don't know necessarily that they have to give something up. They try to balance as much as possible, but if you want this goal, if you want to attain this goal, some of this stuff you got to weed out and put on the shelf until another time because you have to replace this with some level of skill building, and that's the sacrifice. That's the sacrifice, right? Instead of, hey, maybe I'm not going to a party every month. They got house parties all over. You know what? March, I'm not going. I just can't. I gotta go train. I gotta go to practice. I have to give that up.
Mhm.
So I think that builds into right back to what we are talking about is that there's only enough time in one, there's only a certain amount of time in a day, right?
Mhm.
You have to, if you're willing to get to the next level, to build your skill, it's going to take time. And
Mhm.
there are certain things that you have to remove out of your life to balance it out. Like you said, one certain balance, it's not for everybody. It's different for each person. And if you're trying to get here, you need to spend more time training. You need to spend more time skill building. You need to spend more time practicing.
Mhm.
It's not cookie cutter.
Mhm. Yeah.
Whole nother note. If I visit Jersey, where's the one place I need to stop? I have to go there. I have to go there.
Oh, man. You have to go there if you
It's the
visit
only one. You got one answer.
like a restaurant?
I don't care. It's
Oh,
anything. It could be anything. Anything, but you cannot leave Jersey without hitting it.
dude. Well, I will say I don't care where you go for it, but you need to get, pork roll, egg, and cheese somewhere.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
care where you go. You can go to, like, any bagel shop, mom and pop bagel shop, Bagel Masters, something like that. You gotta
Yeah.
go, yeah, get yourself a pork roll, egg, and cheese on a bagel. It's
All right. All right. D- down south, Miami. Give me one spot.
Oh, man.
One spot, one area, one thing to do has to happen.
It has to happen. I don't know, super chill and casual, but my go-to spot was always Flanagan's.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know, there's a million other places in Miami you could go, but I like to keep it chill and, watch some sports and, eat
Eh,
good food and good company.
Where even
One
I've
in
been in
Coconut
Florida.
Grove, Coconut Grove.
Coconut Grove's a must. Absolutely. Coconut Grove's a good one. Even Bayside. Bayside's good, right?
Yeah,
Bayside's good.
yeah.
The art district is really nice.
It is, it is. I didn't spend too much time over there, but I've been there, yeah.
Shoot,
Coconut
I
Grove
got
is
no.
where I was at. I
There you
spent
go.
lived for a while, so that
All
was
right. All right. All right. Even me being from Florida all my life, we tell folks just like this: Dade County is its own place. It's
yeah.
once you start to get south, right? You get south. Miami itself, Dade County is like a whole nother. Like they could actually cut Dade County off and make it like its own little island because it has its own little culture, its own
It
little
does.
vibe. It's totally different from the rest of the state. It's right. It's totally
It
different
is.
from the rest of the state.
Well, that being said, I should say that you should get some Cuban food in Miami
You
because
got to.
that's the best.
And with the
Cuban
Cuban
food,
coffee,
nice
absolutely.
Cuban coffee, you know,
Yes. Over
cafecito,
Hialeah. That
and,
yep.
yeah, you gotta get that in Miami.
Yep. A little Havana. All right. So I just want to close the loop on this. Any actionable items, maybe 2 or 3 things that athletes can do in order to help build their skill the fastest. How can they be consistent? What should they be doing? Any actionable items that we can put out there so athletes can grab a hold of and say, you know what? I heard this from Laxton 305. I need to be doing this.
Um, well, I think like players have to think about really the well, two things. One, I think two angles. One, you want to get better at your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
and like really lean into your strengths and
Mm-hmm.
really push yourself on those because if you can do that, like that'll put you some good places. But then you also got to look at your what I call areas of opportunity. I don't love to call them weaknesses because it's not a weakness. It's something that like you just need more development. So then
Mm-hmm.
also think of it that way. And then the third piece of that is like your tendencies, whether they have to do with your strengths or your opportunity areas or not. I think every player has tendencies to do certain things in certain times. Maybe you have a tendency to shoot sidearm when you should be shooting overhand. Maybe you have a tendency to drop the ball when you're switching from your left to your right or whatever it is. Everybody's got these. I think if you don't know what they are for yourself, you can ask your coaches or you can watch film on yourself and
Mm-hmm.
really get a good understanding of like or start to just be aware of it next time you go into practice, like just start thinking about what you tend to do. And so then you start taking these three pieces. What's one of my strengths? What's one of my areas of opportunity? And what's one of my tendencies? And figure out and you could talk to your coaches about if you need help, but like what can you do outside of practice or even during practice to help develop those skills better. If you're at practice, maybe you're not getting a ton of reps on your own because it's a team practice, but maybe you can keep something top of mind. Or maybe you could say to your coach, "Hey coach, I'm really trying to work on not shooting sidearm when I take shots. Can you just keep an eye on it for me? Like let me know if I'm, doing it or not doing it." Like if you go to your coach with something like that, first of all, they'll love that. And
Mm-hmm.
second of
Mm-hmm.
all, you'll get that instant feedback. So I think that's definitely I mean, those are a few things you can do. I think talk to your coaches, really, and then really just think about in your own right what you can do on the wall. What can you do in your own backyard? If you don't have a wall, what stick skills can you work on that you can even just cradle around your freaking yard and
Right.
switch hands and run around? Like you even equipment's great, a wall is great, a goal is great, but if you can even do a whole lot without that stuff. You just have to have the mentality that I wanna get better and I could work with what I got. So,
It,
that's what I have to say.
it's funny you said those answers. We'll get ready to hit because it's not like we've had 1,000 different conversations. Like we may have had a handful of conversations. So just for the audience out there, we don't know each other like that.
Yeah.
But great minds think alike. And
Yeah.
I just told a parent of a client that I'm bringing on the same freaking thing. We're going to lean into her strengths. We're going
Mhm.
to improve her areas of development, right?
Right.
Her
Right.
areas of development may never be a strength. However, they can get better. And
Mhm.
at the same time, your tendencies. In my sport, we call it self scout. Okay. My
Mhm.
son played football. We self scout. Where do
Yeah.
your eyes go? What happens with your feet? When blitzes happen, what do you tend to do? Which side do you usually roll out at? When my daughter, cause my daughter plays lacrosse, self scout. How would you stop you? What's your go to move from the wing up top from X? Let's look at it. let's look at it. How can you add on to your game? Because you tend to do this. I
Mhm.
know because I'm your dad. I know exactly what you're gonna do before you do it. I've trained you to do these type of things. But
Yeah.
let's self scout. So now you don't do it, you do this, right? So all those things are the same thing. We're on the same exact page. And again, you don't all the fancy equipment, it's perfect, right? If you can get it, you can afford it, have it. But there are things you can do just with a open shoe and a Coke can out in your front
Yeah.
yard
Yeah.
or in your kitchen with no socks on,
Right.
right? There's things that can happen.
Right.
This has been an awesome conversation.
Thank
Um, I hope that everybody learned a lot from this. Again, let me just run it down. Former D1 college coach, former D1 player, a content creator. I will check out her social. She drops a lot of IQ stuff in her content creation where she's evaluating the games, and anybody can learn from it. I'm on her page all the time. Um, so this has been fantastic. I'm gonna stop the recording, but don't hang up. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having
You're welcome.
me.